Hello, hello. How good to have you here with us for another Red Barn radio program. This evening we continue forward in our 22nd year of broadcasting, and we welcome you to show number 859. That's 859. That's all, which also happens to be the area code of our lovely city of Lexington, Kentucky, from whence we broadcast. I'm host Bradford Becker, and we have a terrific program for you tonight. Matt Koziol is a New Jersey-raised and now Nashville-based singer-songwriter who, for reasons you'll understand in moments, is making his mark in country music. Matt is a naturally gifted singer who has, over many years of hard work, also honed his songwriting craft to the point where others in the biz love collaborating with him. Matt has made festival appearances at Bonnaroo and Americana Fest, and from what I understand, he has some more exciting shows on the docket, and I hope he'll talk about those tonight. Welcome Matt Koziol to Red Barn Radio.
Down a Red Hill bottle. Let him drink cook down in the bed she got him. Burn so hot, set the room on fire. Getting drunk on her and she's getting him high. Turn a sinner to a saint in a list of 7. Yeah, she's gonna show you which way to heaven. She can reel him in and she can cut the line. Make him lose his job working overtime. Make him say his prayers in the church motel. Make him climb them stairs, make him raise some hell. Gonna light him up like a Georgia pine. Make him head south on 65. Oh yeah, she's a devil in divine. Hurts so good, looks so sweet, better than the finest wine. Take you round 9 times a night. Gonna light him up, gonna keep you begging. Yeah, she's gonna show you which way to heaven. Hurts so good, looks so sweet, better than the finest wine. Take you round 9 times a night. Gonna light him up, gonna keep it banging. Yeah, she's gonna show you which way to heaven.
Good evening and welcome to Red Barn Radio. Wherever in the world you're listening, welcome to Roots Music Southern Style. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn Radio's official radio partner, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Listen online at weku.org. Red Barn Radio is supported by Visit Lex, Lexington, Kentucky's Convention and Visitors Bureau. More information on what Lexington has to offer is at visitlex.com. LexArts, Lexington, Kentucky's premier cultural development, advocacy, and fundraising organization, working for the development of a strong and vibrant arts community as a means of enhancing the quality of life in Central Kentucky. Follow Red Barn Radio on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Here's the host of Red Barn Radio to tell us more about tonight's performers.
Our guest this evening is Matt Koziol. Following Matt's debut album Wild Horse, songs from which he shared with us over a year ago when he played Red Barn Radio solo, Matt released his brilliant sophomore album, Last of the Old Dogs, just on April 5th of this year. The album features collaborations with Vince Gill, 49 Winchester, People magazine, the outlet, media outlet, called the album Nothing Short of Iconic, which is, I'd say, a pretty good compliment. And it also received praise from Billboard, WXPN, Hook and Barrel, and more. Tonight, Matt joins us with a talented ensemble of players, Austin Webb on guitar, Adam DeCipio on bass, and Aaron Lawson on drums. Welcome Matt Koziol and his band back to Red Barn Radio.
To the floor, towing the county line. That gone makes it right kind of clear, and you ain't far behind. You hit the distance, son of a, it ain't taking you alive. You better run, you better run, you better run, son. Lord, you better run. You better run, you better run, you better run now. Lord, you better run. Blame it on the lightning, you can blame it on the sun. Just get gone out, Lord, you better run. Just get the beautiful backseat view showing the Sunday best. And a knock on the door when the church rang out, stood there a preacher man. Said, son, you ready to see the light? With a shotgun on your back, you better run, you better run, you better run, son. Lord, you better run. You better run, you better run, you better run now. Lord, you better run. Blame it on the big man, you can blame it on the gun. Just get gone out, Lord, you better run. Down to the dead stood my flesh and blood. Scared to death, white in the face. So Lord, what have I become? Said, take my keys and take my money. I won't tell them what you've done. You better run, you better run. You better run, son. Lord, you better run. You better run, you better run. You better run now. Lord, you better run. Blame it on the living. You can blame it on the blood. Stick on that, Lord, you better run. You better run. Well, that was called You Better Run, Son. I wrote that with a friend of mine from Kentucky, Brandon Moore, who lives down in Nashville now. And I've always loved playing that one. This next one's called A Better Side of Lonely. I wrote this with a couple of friends for realizing that lonely sometimes a lot better, you know, than trying to do something you shouldn't be in anyway. So it's called Better Side of Lonely. I walk slowly on my own feet, somewhere on the better side of lonely. No, I don't need someone to hold me on the better side of lonely. It's kind of overrated sleeping next to someone else. I spent too many weekends feeling sorry for myself. I've been drunk, I've been down, but I'm finally putting heartbreak on the shelf. I was down for the count, I was messed up running around. Now I walk slowly on my own feet, somewhere on the better side of lonely. No, I don't need someone to hold me on the better side of lonely. Save a couple dollars, only buying food for one. And I still do the dishes, but I do them when I want. Keep my shirt on the floor and my troubles at the door. And I walk slowly on my own feet, somewhere on the better side of lonely. No, I don't need someone to hold me on the better side of lonely. Ask me how I'm doing all by myself. I'm doing real damn well, walking slowly on my own feet, somewhere on the better side of lonely. No, I don't need someone to hold me on the better side of lonely. On the better side of lonely. On the better side of lonely. Thank you. It was real fun being in this room. Smells like pizza. Looks good. It's good to see you again. Thanks for having us.
Cologne, the pizza.
It's the pizza cologne. I got it. Yeah, that's the one. This next song is a song called Last of the Old Dogs. This is the title track of the record. And I wrote this song with two friends of mine, Andy Skibb and Steve Moakler, who both are great writers and great friends. And how this one came about was maybe about a week before I got in the session. We were sitting there talking, and I was talking to my mother, and we had a family dog, Grace, who they had to put down because she was getting old and she was getting sick. And, yeah, she was just the one that we had since we were kids. You know, she was the dog that we had since me and my brother still lived home, and she was the last of the ones that saw all the dogs before her. So I went into the writing session. They were like, "Man, you okay?" And I said, "No." I said, "We had to put down one of our family dogs." And I said, "It was tough, man. She was the last of the old dogs before I got mine, before my brother got his." And Steve's ears perked up, and he went, "Ooh, that sounds like a song." And I was like, "No, it's too soon to write that song." He goes, "It's never too soon to write that song." So this is it. It's called Last of the Old Dogs. Hop along the front door when I get back home. Just not as fast as you used to. You got a little more white in your beard, a little more wrinkle in your hair, but it's still good for the soul to be here with you. And we lost Cody back in '06. Bugsy in the 7th grade. And I know you since I was just a kid, but the two of us are starting to show our age. So come on and sit with me a little while. I'll put another log on the fire. Just one of these days, no, we won't get to. So how about tonight, it's just me and you. What am I gonna do when you're gone? You're the last of the old dogs. Yes, all my ex-girlfriends come and go. Lick my face on graduation day. You sat in my suitcase as I packed up all my things. Then you howled while I pulled out of the driveway. So come on, sit with me a little while. I'll put another log on the fire. 'Cause one of these days, no, we won't get to. So how about tonight, it's just me and you. What am I gonna do when you're gone? You're the last of the old dogs. Well, thanks for keeping Mom and Dad company all these years, but it ain't gonna feel like home to me when you ain't here. So come on and sit with me a little while. I'll put another log on the fire. 'Cause one of these days, no, we won't get to. So how about tonight, it's just me and you. What am I gonna do when you're gone? You're the last of the old dogs. Look at us still hanging on. We're the last of the old dogs. Thank you. It's a lot more changing guitars this time, you know? Really? I'm sweating way more.
You got some good ones there.
Thank you. I love this guitar. This one's got a little story to it. The guy who produced my records is a guy named Matt Koziol. He was in a band called Jars of Clay. You remember them? Yeah. So he
That Christian band?
Christian band.
Yeah.
Yep. He and I met, gosh, years ago. He was on an old publisher that I was on, and we became friends really quick, and we stayed friends. And he's been the one who's done all my records. He did Wild Horse, he did Lassie Old Dogs, and we've just been friends ever since. But one thing we are is guitar nerds together. And he's had a bunch of guitars that I've loved playing. He's had guitars that I've played that he's loved. And I had a Firebird and I sold it because I needed to pay a house payment or something like that. And then I had this really cool Les Paul that I brought to a session one time. He goes, "Man, that thing's cool." I said, "Yeah, you want to trade?" You know, because I'm always looking. And he goes, "Oh, what do you want?" And I said, "I want that Firebird back." He goes, "Okay, fine." So that's how I got this thing back. But this has been all over the world with Matt and a Christian rock band. And here it is now. So,
Wow.
yeah, we get to play it, and it's fun. Let's see what we got. This is a song called Mine. Well, she's the first thought on my mind. She's a take home to mama kind. Effortlessly beautiful, don't even have to try. She's everything a guy like me could ever want more. But she ain't mine anymore. Well, she ain't mine anymore. She ain't crying anymore. She ain't missing me, kissing me, wishing we keep on trying anymore. I ain't waiting on a day she comes walking through my door. Well, she ain't mine anymore. Smile feels like a sunny day when she drinks. It's like a hurricane. Knows how to hold her on. Won't back down from anything. It ain't hard to see. She ain't the girl she was before now. But she ain't mine anymore. Well, she ain't mine anymore. She ain't crying anymore. She ain't missing me, kissing me, wishing we keep on trying anymore. I ain't waiting on a day she comes walking through my door. But she ain't mine anymore. Well, she ain't crying. She ain't missing me, kissing me, wishing we keep on trying anymore. I ain't waiting on a day she comes walking through my door. But she ain't mine anymore.
Our guest this evening on Red Barn Radio is Matt Koziol, and he's here with his band. It's great to have you guys here. Super hot music. Sounds great. Yeah, just sounds terrific. Matt is born in New Jersey and lived there, I think, growing up. Moved to California for a time and is now based in Nashville, where he works as a songwriter, singer, professional songwriter. Works for a publishing house. And his newest album is, as he told us, Last of the Old Dogs. Just came out in April. Here Again is his latest single, which is not on. Is that right?
Ooh,
Do I get the song called Here Again? Did I miss that?
Oh, no.
Do you have a song called Here Again?
Oh, no, but we're not playing that.
Oh, no,
but
that's
that
right.
is-
Yeah, but
that
that's
is a song that's out, yes.
But that's the latest single, right?
Yes,
True.
yes,
Okay,
it
good,
is.
good. All right, good. And
You got me scared for 2 seconds. I went, oh, no, I didn't prep that.
are you sure you couldn't just play it for us? real
Well,
quick?
you try.
And then Matt's song Runs in the Family, which I want to say is from your first album.
Yeah, that was a single that kind of came right after the first album. Maybe even, actually, no, it came before the first album.
Yeah, because it seems to me you played that when you were here.
I think I did.
Yeah.
That was
And-
a song that kind of jump-started a lot of this. I was writing for so long, and then I had written this song for a TV show, actually. We were trying to write for a television show. Me, a great artist named Maggie Rose, and a writer named Oxley, producer. And we had a version of me singing it, and we had a version of Maggie Rose singing it. And I was all for Maggie Rose singing it because she is, bar none, one of my favorite vocalists. And it got put on a Walgreens commercial. So we kind of just went, well, what do we do?
On a Walgreens commercial.
It was put on a Walgreens commercial. The fun part about that is there was no singing on that. It was just instrumental. So it was me playing guitar, and Oxley made the track, and I think Maggie had some background vocal parts. But when that came out, Maggie was about to release some new music, so she said, I'm not putting it on my record. You should put it out. And I said, okay, sounds good. So we put it out, and this is a long story short, but I was getting out of a shower, and a friend of mine called, and he said, hey, man, do you know Theo Vaughn? And I said, yeah, I know his podcast. And he goes, you're on it. I was like, what do you mean I'm on it? He goes, he's playing your song. And I said, no, Waz, they sent me the
that
video.
tune.
Yeah, it was, Runs in the
Right.
Family. And so he had used it on his podcast, and then I just got this slew of messages from people from his podcast, and that's where, I had stopped playing as an artist years ago, and that kind of revamped the whole idea of doing this again. And then me and Matt Odemark started working on a record, Wild Horse, right after that, and we just kind of jumped back into it like it never stopped. So.
Well, there's a lot of questions to ask from the story you've just you've just told me, but it seems to me that single is sort of working for people. I mean, you pushing what 4 million listens on that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was one of those things I didn't think would have any legs just because I wasn't trying. It was. I really do give a lot of credit to the Theo Vaughn podcast because that's what had it here. Thousands upon thousands of people's ears, and it's funny, we'll go out and play shows, and there's always a couple of people that'll say, I heard you on Theo Vaughn's podcast, came out to see you this weekend. I said, man, it's a couple of years old now. I mean, it's 4 or 5 years old, and yeah, it was just unexpected. I think it happened in 2019, and like I said, when I moved into Nashville, probably 2015, I didn't want to be an artist anymore. I remembered how hard it was and how much money you spent and how much time it takes. And I was younger then.
9 years ago? Did you say
just about 9
2015?
years ago, yeah. I'm going on 10 years. And so prior to that, when I was in California and traveling between New York, California, and Nashville, I was trying to be an artist in my early 20s. And when I moved into Nashville, I was 27, and I just stopped. I said, I just want to write songs for people. That'd be easier. I get to have a home life. I won't be stressed, And then a couple of years in, 6 years in maybe, that happens, and here I am, back doing it at 36, which now my back hurts more. I'm a little more anxious, I got to take care of myself a little better, but I'm having more fun now than I have in the 20-something years I've been playing music live for people.
That's it. So what is making it fun for you now that made it maybe made it stressful for you 9 years ago or 10 years ago?
I think 9 years ago I was being told what to sound like. And I was being told, hey, you could be like this artist or you could be like that artist. And every time I would either go to L.A. or I would come to New York or anywhere, it was, well, what do you want to sound like? And I mean, I was young. I didn't really have an idea yet. I didn't have a lot of stories to tell at the time. I had some, but
well, tell us an example of what somebody told you should sound like.
I mean, you're thinking about the time. It was probably when I was really going to Los Angeles a bunch. It was probably 2010, 2011. One Republic was big. Gavin DeGraw was big, and I could play piano and I could sing soulful. So that's what everyone kind of told me to sound like. And that was at the time. That's what I was playing to sound like that, and it never felt right. I was writing songs that were cool, and being around a lot of great writers and artists and producers, and some who I still talk to this day, but it just, nothing ever really fit. And I think at the end of that time, one of the songs we'll play tonight is a song called Follow Me Home, and I wrote that, I think, in 2011. And that was a song that I remember I wrote with a guy named Gus Savert. We were in Silver Lake, California, in his house, and having some drinks and just playing guitar. He played for the Black Keys at the time. And we just started making guitars loud again. And I was playing blues bars on my time off, so I would go back home, and there was a bar called Butch Cole's that I would play every Thursday and Sunday. Sundays acoustic, Thursdays with the band till 3 o'clock in the morning, and I would play B.B. King covers. I'd do an acoustic set playing country covers and Stevie Ray Vaughan covers, and I'd play some of my own songs. So that was the sound I loved. It was 3-piece, me on guitar, bass, and drums, and I knew how to make that work. But that wasn't what was cool at the time. So I guess everybody wanted me to do something different, program drums, big pianos, big vocals, and pop music, which was fun to do. I learned a lot about songwriting at that time. And then the difference between then and now is I don't care. I just like playing, and I get to play with some of my best friends, and I'm writing songs now that I'm not having to think too hard about why they're important. They're always important, and they'll be important 20 years from now. Huh. I think some of the songs I wrote back then are cool. I think they said something for the time period, but I think I was just writing to be part of a writing room and then make something of myself, and it never really fit. Like I was the square peg in a round hole. Something didn't work. And then moving to Nashville, I met a bunch of great writers. I met Matt Koziol and a lot of now friends from Los Angeles and the coasts that have moved into town who I've known for almost 15, 20 years.
Did you stay in touch with them all those
a lot
over
of them,
the years?
yeah. And they started moving into town, and even when I moved into town, they would call their friends who were in town and say, man, you got to meet this guy. His name's Matt. He's a great player, great singer. And so I had some street cred, I guess. And I had a lot of good folks saying that I could do the thing, and when I got me into a room, I would go in and try to prove that I could be that thing. And it was funny, those first couple of years, I very quickly learned how little I knew about anything dealing with songwriting. But that was the fun part. I didn't sit there and go, oh man, I can't be here. My brain just wanted to absorb as much writing as possible. And I think that was the cool thing about Nashville then, and maybe even some of the previous years when I went there to write, was I was in this point where I was a sponge, and I wanted to learn from all the old guys who wrote with Garth Brooks, but I wanted to write with a lot of the guys like Matt Koziol, who played in a Christian rock band, but were so. It's funny, I got to do a really cool event with him and Charlie Lowell. They got inducted into the Rochester Music Hall of Fame. They're both from Rochester, New York. And they wanted me to be the singer of Jars of Clay that night. So I got to go and sing as for them and help induct them into the Rochester Music Hall of Fame as Jars of Clay, which was really cool. So it's getting to meet people from that caliber and seeing what they've done in their career and working with them. It was the greatest masterclass of writing and being a player. And I mean, these guys are younger than me, and not by much, but still younger than me. And I always found myself with players who were 5 years younger and just teaching me so much about playing guitar and being in a band that I thought I knew for years, but I just knew how to be loud. So now I get to enjoy it. I get to be more of a professional, but still, play loud songs and have fun with people who really want to play. So that's a big difference for me now.
Yeah.
Even when I go play by myself, I'm enjoying it because I think I needed to step away from it for a long time to really understand how much I loved it. Because when somebody said, "Do you miss being on the road?" and I go, "Man, it was the one thing I never thought I would miss, and I would never give it up again." My suitcase is my best friend. My house is a mess. It's just looks like a tornado ran through it. Still, it's been like that for a week. We just had the CMAs, and I still couldn't clean my house. But it's it's just something I don't ever want to give up again.
Who are some people you learned from at a young age? I was interested in a story that you told. In fact, I think it was something that I saw in an interview with you before we met initially, and we just never had a chance to bring it up. But you talked about what you learned when a teacher of yours, when a high school or middle school teacher of yours, I guess, said that, or you brought some songs to him, or a song to him, and he came back. Why don't you tell the rest of that story?
I hope he's watching this
because it's a great story.
I always love talking about the people that I learned stuff from, but his name's Reggie Turner. I called him Mr. Turner for years, and when I graduated high school, I remember I went to go see him, and he goes, "You can call me Reggie." And I said, "No, I can't call you Reggie. That's weird." But Reggie Turner was my middle school music teacher. And, man, he was such a big part of my learning to love music. We had this thing in junior high. It was called music listening time. Creative name, obviously. But basically what you would do as a student, he had a wall of compact discs. He had a wall of tapes. He had some 8-track, and he had this huge stack stereo in his room, vinyl or whatever he had and wanted to play. And every week on Wednesdays, we would go in, and he would put on like 4 or 5 different types of songs. So one was like jazz, one was pop, one was Latin, one was country, whatever it was. He just wanted to introduce us as kids to different styles of music. So what he would do is give you a folder and say, write the song title down, and then we'll listen to the song, you give a review on that song. And so I did that as a kid, and I knew a bunch of my friends. We all did it. So when I was in high school, I think I was 14 years old, I had just played my first paying gig at a cafe called Van Gogh's Ear Cafe in Union, New Jersey. And I wanted to make a record. I thought I was ready. I was listening to a lot of James Taylor as a kid. Big influence at the time was John Mayer. And if there's any, 25 to 40-year-old man or woman guitar player that says that they're not influenced by him, they are full of it, man. He was so great. It was so, it was so fresh at the time. It was our Eric Clapton, It was our version of that. And so when I heard that, I imitated that because that's what I thought you had to do. So I'm 14 years old, and we go into this guy, Willie Weist studio, and, we pay him to sit and record 14-year-old me, but 14-year-old me wanted to sound like 25-year-old John Mayer. So I could play the guitar like him, but then I would make my voice sound like him. And I had this really raspy voice like that. And I would sing all these songs. I even think I did a cover of his song or something. There's some old CD my parents probably have somewhere that'll leak itself out at some point. But I was so proud of it. I would listen to it all the time and go, man, I've done it. I made a record. It was 5 songs. And one day I brought it to him. I said, "Mr. Turner, I made an album. You need to listen to it." So he goes, "All right." So I give him the record, and he goes, "Leave it with me for a few days, and then come back on," this might have been on a Tuesday. He said, "Come back on Friday." So, all right. So the high school wasn't far from my junior high school. So one day Friday after school, I walk down, and he hands me a stack of papers. And I go, "What's this?" And he goes, "I played your CD for listening time." I said, "Okay, cool." And I'm thinking, man, these kids are going to think I'm awesome. They're going to think I'm the coolest thing. They're going to want to be just like me. I've done it, right? I played a show at this point. I maybe have played twice ever, and in front of people anyway. And I was like, I'm on my way to stardom. And hands me the stack of papers. He goes, just do me a favor, read these on your way home, and come back next week. We'll talk about it. So, all right. So I get on my way to walk, and I start opening up this folder, and I'll never forget it. I'm reading these reviews, and it's, you want the most honest review of yourself, hand an 11-year-old your music. It's like, what do you think about this? Pre-TikTok, you know? And these kids were like, guitar sounds cool, sounds like he has a frog in his throat. I was like, oof, that's rough. And I flipped the page. Hate this guy's voice. Sounds terrible. Yikes. Okay, flip the page. Can't understand a word he says, but the guitar sounds nice. Okay. It was 30 pages of that. Each single page.
All attacking
bad
your
reviews.
voice.
Just telling me I sounded terrible. Maybe one or two is like, it's cool, I just wish I could hear what he said, you know. And I was like, okay. So I went back on Monday. I said, what the hell, man? Why'd you give me these papers? And he goes, I want you to learn something from this. And it is advice I will never forget. He goes, you were trying to sound like what you're inspired by. And I said, yeah, I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And he goes, well, here's the problem with that, is if you always play like the person you want to be and you emulate them to the point where you sound like them, you'll always be number 2. He goes, you'll never be number 1. And he goes, we all have a thumbprint and a fingerprint for a reason. None of ours are exactly the same. Everybody's got one, but yours is specifically different from mine. There's a reason for that. So he's like, treat your music and treat your career like your thumbprint. You have the only one you have. Nobody will ever do what you do better than you. So even if what I do is different than everything you hear on CMA weekend, I know it's not a cocky thing, it's just a confidence thing. Nobody else can do what I do. And I say that only because that's the lesson I learned from him. I try to make sure that whatever I do is severely authentic to that idea. And it's a lesson that I've told other writers. I'm like, why are we trying to sound like this when we could just sound like you? And I go, well, I don't know what that is yet. And I said, well, then let's find it.
Nice.
You know, because there's no point in you trying to sound like the next Morgan Wallen if Morgan Wallen's already existed. You know, let's find the next version of you that might be better than that, or it might just be different. And yeah, that was the best lesson. And I've thanked him for it before, but I hope he watches this at some point. But that was the greatest lesson of music I was ever given, was just treat yourself like your own thumbprint. You have it, nobody else does. A lot of people others are gonna sing, and they're gonna play guitar, and some might play better than you, some might sing better than you, but no one will ever sound like you.
That sounds like a great lesson, and one, it sounds like some of those California cats who are trying to shape your sound to mimic somebody else could have learned that same lesson.
Yeah, maybe they made more money than I did, you know, but at the
no
same time,
no satisfaction in
no, there's no satisfaction. I call it quick
Right.
money.
Yeah.
You know, it's it'll be there today, gone tomorrow, and a lot of that stuff, for the most part, did. And you see it happen a lot with music. And we always, my team and I, we always talk about slow to rise, slow to fall. You know, so I'd rather be something that takes a couple of years to get off the ground, but then I can ride that wave for as long as I want, rather than overnight success. And as soon as it's there, you can have it for a year, 2, maybe 3, and then 5 years down the line, nobody remembers who you are, you know, because you haven't had a song that was like that song 5 years ago. And they're like, well, this was cool, but now we're on to the next thing. So yeah, I think it's just important we always talk about authenticity and how important that is, and that's really me just reaching back to that old lesson of no one can do what I do. There's a lot of guitar players I wish I could play like. A lot of singers that I hear and I go, man, you could sing circles around me. But I go, if I sing the song that I wrote and I ask you to sing the same thing, you're not going to do it like I do it, you know? So yeah, that was a good lesson. I'm forever grateful for him.
Love it. Band's gonna take a little break. You're gonna do a couple tunes.
I don't even know where they went.
Acoustically, I don't know. He disappeared someplace. Descended into heaven. or ascended into heaven.
Ascended.
Yeah. So
I think they
you
found
got
that pizza.
What's this? What's this song? The first one about the fire.
This one's called The Fire. I wrote this with a guy named John Stanislawski and Tristan Bushman. And me and Tristan walked in there severely hungover from what I don't know what we did that night before. And John came in sober as a judge, and he looked at us and he's like, "You boys okay?" And I was like, "I don't feel like being here today." And Tristan said, "I don't feel like being here today." But I said, "We've got our guitars. We'll write a song." And there was a story I heard in high school about Mount St. Helen in the 80s and how it erupted. I think it was somewhere on the West Coast, wherever Mount St. Helen is, Washington State or something like that.
It's way up there.
And I remember
Northwest.
my science teacher had told us this story, me and my buddy Mike. We were sitting there, we were kids, I think in 9th grade. And she was like, yeah, there was a story about an old man at the base of Mount St. Helen who, when they were telling the town to evacuate, told him, hey, man, you got to leave. This house, it's going to burn. They're going to be covered. And he goes, well, my wife died in this house. We had our kids in this house. I'm not leaving. Everything that I ever loved is here. Why would I leave it? And I remember thinking about that story going, man, that's a really cool way to think about love and how it pertains to, sticking with something that you need. But also on the flip side of that, it's sometimes staying in something that is bound to burn and bound to break. And that's how I looked at it. I had a relationship that ended that I stayed in so long because it was comfortable and because I felt like I needed to prove something. I'm not really sure what still, but I stayed in it long enough past the point of its expiration date just because I felt like I was supposed to stay there, and I wound up finding myself at the bottom of that volcano going, if I don't run now, I'll just stay in this house while it burns down. And I stayed in long enough for it to be resentful and angry. And I remember we were sitting there, and I don't know why we were talking about relationships, and that story popped in my head, and I said, man, I've got this idea. This might sound stupid. There's a story about Mount St. Helen, and they both just kind of looked at me a little weird, and I was like, no, just follow me. I'm still hungover, but this will all make sense once we get through it. So, but this is about staying in that relationship longer than I should have, and I guess it pertains to a lot of my life. I feel like I've had that problem once or twice before, but I'm trying to get better at it, I guess. But it's called The Fire. Well, sky's on fire, embers flying, ash covers the road. Well, live or die, you find me running up the hill alone. You tell me I should leave this burning house. She's not the safest place to stay, but I still call her home. Covered up the cracks with perfect pictures on the wall. Well, it seems as though we're doing fine while flames come down the hall. But the roof is caving in as the frame begins to fall. And soon enough the blaze will take it all. I can blame it on my stubborn pride, let them claim I'm crazy and question why the hell I'm even trying. Our love was like a hurricane, I held her hand, she cursed my name. They say love can make you blind, but this house burned down long before the fire. You can't win a fight when you're swinging underwater, and it's hard to be a lover to a girl who hates her father. The promises you tried to keep around are like water under broken bridges now. I can blame it on my stubborn pride, let them claim I'm crazy and question why the hell I'm even trying. Our love was like a hurricane. I held her hand, she cursed my name. They say love can make you blind, but this house burned down long before the fire. I can blame it on my stubborn pride, let them claim I'm crazy and question why the hell I'm even trying. Oh, our love was like a hurricane. I held her hand, she cursed my name. They say love can make you blind. They say love can make you blind, but this house burned down long before the fire. Thank you. This song's called Uphill Battle. This will probably be the first time I played this, and I couldn't tell you how long. I'm just going for it. We're going to wing it on this one, man. I remember there was this, I'll just call it a situationship I was in, I guess. We'll use that for lack of a better term. I just remember feeling so deeply for this person and just not really sure if it was ever going to work. And it always just felt like this battle. I was climbing uphill both ways. And I remember sitting somewhere around 2 o'clock in the morning. I have this weird thing about writing songs in between two places in my house, like either between the kitchen and the living room or between, a bedroom and the living room. This day it was the steps going into the living room from upstairs, and I just sat and then kept standing up and sitting down the steps with the guitar. And I don't know, sometimes that dissonance of a place is what helps push an idea out for me. If I'm sitting too stagnant for too long in one spot, I just won't get the idea out, but this is what helped. And yeah, this was just about getting through that situationship. I don't know. Well, I can feel it getting cold. See the sun begin to set. And I wish times like these were never met. I felt me miss you in that bottle. A little truth I won't forget. And I slept on the couch with whiskey on my breath. Because time without the one you love shows all the things you're scared of, being down and out and ending up alone. But my heart tells me it's right, and I know I won't sleep tonight, waiting on you to come back home. Yeah, it's an uphill battle from a long way down. That's what happens to me when you're not around. So I called out of work on Monday, took a drive around this town, but I saw your face in every crowd. So then I took a shot on Friday, another bottle going down. I did another week come another round. Because time without the one you love shows all the things that you're scared of, being down and out and ending up alone. But my heart tells me it's right, and I know I won't sleep tonight, waiting on you to come back home. Yeah, it's another uphill battle from a long way down. That's what happens to me when you're not around. Years pass by without someone to hold, because time without the one you love shows all the things that you're scared of, being down and out and ending up alone. But my heart tells me it's right, and I know I won't sleep tonight, waiting on you to come back home. Yeah, it's another uphill battle from a long, long way down. That's what happens to me when you're not around. That's what happens to me when you're not around. Thank you. That one sucks to sing, not gonna lie. That one, for some reason, is one of those that just doesn't stop hurting, I guess. I don't know if I ever got over that one, so. Yeah. Maybe that's why I like coming to Kentucky, to keep drinking. I don't know. That's probably the reason why. We'll just make sure it's in tune before I do it. This is a song called Hired Gun. This has been one of my favorites to play live, and probably one of the ones that I've had people tell me that meant something to them the most. I wrote it with Steve Moakler right before COVID, right before we had to go inside, and it was the last write I did in person before that, and we're just both big Bruce Springsteen fans. So I think this was our version of some Bruce Springsteen song. I don't know. But it talked about love and how it pertains to treating people. Like, you have that phrase, being a hired gun for a job, you know, whether you're a contract worker or whatever. And we wanted to write a song that didn't talk about treating love that way, just treating it like you want it to be for a long time. And I guess, I mean, he's in that part of life. He's got 2 kids, house, wife. And my joke is on stage, I've got a dog, so we have a lot to talk about, you know. But, I mean, it's funny, I was talking to a friend of mine this morning early, and we were talking about my schedule, and he said, man, you live in the dream. And I said, man, you got a wife and a kid. That sounds like a dream to me. So I don't know that, I guess the grass is always greener, but this is something I feel like I've been trying to take with me moving forward, is trying to treat love and a future partner more like this concept, I guess. It's called Hired Gun. Well, I've chased my share of tumbleweeds. Well, gone wherever the job took me. Yeah, I'm sure you know the kind, but that ain't who you're talking to tonight. Well, I rolled that stone, I've turned that page. Well, I guess sometimes it comes with age, where I'm coming from and where I'm heading to. But I've been looking for someone like you. Well, I'm playing for keeps, I'm betting on love. Well, I ain't just some cowboy on the run. Wanna ride with you to the setting sun. Ain't gonna treat your heart like a hired gun. I'm gonna take my time, gonna get it right. Well, I got your back, I ain't scared to fight. You'll be hard-pressed to find a man, well, I can love you like I know I can. Well, I'm playing for keeps, I'm betting on love. Well, I ain't just some cowboy on the run. Wanna ride with you to the setting sun. Ain't gonna treat your heart like a hired gun. Well, your smile puts my mind at ease. Your eyes bring me to my knees. Never had a place to hang my hat, but you made me believe in that. Well, I'm playing for keeps, I'm betting on love. Well, I ain't just some cowboy on the run. Wanna ride with you to the setting sun. Ain't gonna treat your heart like a hired gun. Thank you.
Well, hey, folks, we've got lots more music and conversation with Matt Koziol, our guest, coming up. But I do want to take a moment to remind listeners that as much as we enjoy having you with us here in real time, listening to our live stream, Red Barn live streams, you must know, remain available online for you to view at your convenience. Same is true for those of you who like the live audio streams, which are available to you, compliments of WGAD.net in central New York. Now I want to tell you about what's happening next week. Can you say Power Trio? Yeah? Okay, thank you. Say it, please. Well, our guests next week on Red Barn are just that. Zach Brock, Bob Lanzetti, and Keita Ogawa were for a number of years associated with the jazz collective called Snarky Puppy, which won not only 1 or 2 measly Grammys, but a whopping 5 Grammys between 2014 and 2023. Zach Brock loves skateboarding and high-octane coffee, afternoon walks on the beach. And he comes from our very own Lexington, Kentucky, and is one of the best violinists in the frickin' universe. Bob Lanzetti is a graduate of the prestigious North Texas U jazz program. He's a composer, he's an arranger, and a top-notch educator who now lives in New York City, where he can be available for the, so the throngs of the biggest names in jazz can call upon his amazing guitar skills for their project. Since his arrival in America, Keita Ogawa has worked with our percussionists, some of the biggest names in modern music, from Yo-Yo Ma to the Maria Schneider Jazz Orchestra. He started his music career on drum set at the age of 15. He decided to pursue his musical studies overseas and was accepted into Berkeley, where he developed a passion for Brazilian percussion. He relocated to Rio de Janeiro for 3 months and studied with some of the country's most respected players there before moving back to the States. He now lives in New York and is one of the most versatile and sought-after percussion and drummers in the city. Power Trio, that's the word. Don't miss Brock, Lanzetti, and Ogawa next week in studio and on Red Barn Radio's live stream, 7 p.m. Eastern in North America. And now back to tonight's Red Barn Radio program with our Power Quartet with Matt Koziol. We welcome you live on our social media platforms, broadcasting from the Arts Place Performance Hall here in the horse capital of the world, Lexington, Kentucky. Welcome back, Matt Koziol, to Red Barn.
Thank you. Yeah, I was black marks on Main Street, top of a prayer list. No reason for last call. 2 a.m. I was Daddy's worst nightmare, Jim Beam's best friend. Any chance I could, I'd cross that line in the sand. But who I was ain't who I am. Little more amen, a lot less goddamn. Had to hit them brakes before we took a wrong turn, 'cause a rolling stone lives crash and burn. Ain't saying I'm a saint, just a bit of man. Yeah, who I was ain't who I am. Yeah, I was sitting on empty, bottom of the bottom. Lost pedal down, heading nowhere. I was waiting on sunrise over Georgia Pine. Felt the light creeping out, then you came along. It's who I was, ain't who I am. A little more amen, a lot less goddamn. Had to hit them brakes before we took a wrong turn, 'cause a rolling stone loves to crash and burn. I ain't saying I'm a saint, just a better man. Yeah, who I was ain't who I am. Yeah, who I was ain't who I am. Little more amen, a lot less goddamn. Had to hit them brakes before we took a wrong turn, 'cause a rolling stone loves to crash and burn. Ain't saying I'm a saint, just a better man. Yeah, who I was ain't who I am. Thank you. This next song is a song called Old Fashioned. I wrote this on a computer screen on Zoom with Steve Moakler, who's a common occurrence in my life. I'm very lucky for that. And a good friend named Brett Truitt. And I was very lucky to have Virginia's own Mr. Isaac Gibson from 49 Winchester sing on this track with me, and he's a good buddy, and very thankful to him and those boys, and they're just great friends, and thankful they sang on this. This is called Old Fashioned. Uptown girl, she was a Cosmo front page shining a modern world, and I was right there trying to hang on, well, until something new caught her eye and she was gone. Yes, turn me loose, so turn the page. Now I'm living in a different age. It's a new me, little old-fashioned, slowing down outside of town without distraction. It suits me fine, just turning back time. Yeah, thanks for asking. It's a new me, a little old-fashioned. Lived our apartment, moved to the cabin. Needed a little more front porch swing and a lot less happening. Hopped out the subway, got in the truck. Got a dog fishing pole and a horseshoe for good luck. It's a new me, little old-fashioned, slowing down outside of town without distraction. It suits me fine, just turning back time. Yeah, thanks for asking. It's a new me, a little old-fashioned. It's a problem who I was supposed to be. Wouldn't know it if she didn't leave. It's a new me, little old-fashioned, slowing down outside of town without distraction. Suits me fine, just turning back time. Yeah, thanks for asking. It's a new me, little old-fashioned. Suits me fine, just turning back time. Yeah, thanks for asking. It's a new me, little old-fashioned. Mr. Austin Webb on the guitar over there. Just showing up and showing out. I do want to go really quick just through the roster of gentlemen up here because they're important to me, and I'm very lucky to be playing music with them. Another round of applause, if you will, for the folks in the room. Austin Webb on the guitar. On the drums, we call him the Iron Giant. This is Aaron Lawson. So. And the true king of Staten Island himself, this is Adam DeCipio on the bass. This is a song from Wild Horse. It's called Leave a Little of Your Heart. And I wrote this with a good friend, Andrew Dixon, and Miss Rosie Galan out in Los Angeles at some house in Venice. And the way this one turned out, I had just seen a commercial from Motel 6 that says, "Leave a light on for you." And I always thought that was the coolest line. Well, man, we'll leave a light on for you. And I was thinking about another situationship. I just always find myself in those really easily, I guess. But I told that person, I said, listen, don't worry about it. Whenever you need to come back, there'll be a light on for you. And that's where this song came from. So it's called Leave a Little of Your Heart. When it feels good, don't it make you cry? No more questions when the timing's right. And then I say those 3 words and I'll try not to hesitate. Leave a little of your heart with me, and the door just like a second key. I'll make sure the light stays on, even when I fall apart. Leave a little of your heart. You've been quiet. What's going through your head? And I'm on the couch while you sleep in bed. And I know you've made mistakes, trusting on, so don't look you in the eye. I'm not that guy. Leave a little of your heart with me, and the door just like a second key. I'll make sure the light stays on, even when I fall apart. Leave a little of your heart with me, and I'll hold it till you call on me. And if you ever change your mind, you keep a peace of mind. Leave a little of your heart. When it feels good, don't it make you cry? No more questions when the timing's right. You left a little of your heart with me, the door just like a second key. I'll make sure the light stays on, even when I fall apart. Leave a little of your heart with me, and I'll hold it till you call on me. And if you ever change your mind, you keep a peace of mind. Leave a little of your heart. Thank you.
Wow. That's a pretty song. That's a beautiful song.
Thank you.
Wow. All right, so our guest this evening is Matt Koziol. Hope you've been listening all this time, and if you haven't, that you'll go back and listen. The whole thing is good, better than good. John, so Matt works with a publishing house in Nashville called Prescription Songs. Current and past rosters include extensive Grammy Award winners and nominees, multiple recipients of ASCAP and BMI awards, Songwriter of the Year awards, yada yada. And you know, a friend was asking me earlier today, you know, like, well, what is a publishing house like? How does that work? And so rather than tell you what I thought,
Yeah.
and the lame answer I may have given, I'd rather have you tell what you know, because you do it.
Publishing houses they're a different breed of work, you know. I mean, for some, I think there's a really good interview that talks about being a writer in town and how there's not many writers in town who just want to be writers. There's always a writer who wants to be an artist. There's never, you know, writers who just want to be writers anymore. But I feel like at a time there was a lot of writers, just people who wanted to write the songs. And there's still a lot of those in town. You know, I've got a lot of friends who they're like, man, this is all I want to do. I don't want to be an artist. I don't really want that thing. I think at one point they all did, right?
So do publishing houses hire those kind of people even if they can't perform the songs that they write?
Yeah, well, I mean, yes. And because they may not be the best performer, the best guitar player, but can they make a great song? And sometimes I'll hear the versions of great songs performed by the person who was in the writing room and helped write that song, or the person who wrote that song, and I go, man, if that person sang that song by themselves, that song would have never been what it is, but that song got sent to whomever, Garth Brooks, Cody Johnson, whomever, to sing that song, and now it's one of the biggest songs in the world.
Okay, so back up a little bit. So how do you get that job? Like how does
It's
that?
funny,
How do
so
they hire people
I
like
have
you?
a good friend named Cliff Goldmacher who was in town about 30 years, and he was a writer, producer, and I think to be a writer in town, and this is my opinion for what it's worth, but I feel like he gave me advice when I moved into town. He said, if you want to be a writer, be in town, be at every writer's round possible. The Nashville Writers Round, where it's 5 or 6 writers in a row, and you go song by song, and you play in front of an audience.
So you play.
You play. I mean, granted, if you can play the guitar and you could sing, you're writing songs on a daily. You might not be the best vocalist or the best guitar player, but you're up there writing great songs.
But you're not going to show up at a writers' round with a pile of papers.
Oh,
and
no, I've
say-
seen
and
that.
Say, here's my song. Somebody want to?
Oh, does somebody want to sing it for me? No,
Or
no.
okay, you got to do it.
No, so you're usually the one who sings it. I was going to say, I've been up there with my iPad because I forget the song
Yeah. Okay.
that I do. But, you'll have a lot of, that's kind of the story of Tony Arata and Garth Brooks with the song The Dance. Was Tony Arata's a writer. I don't know if he ever really was an artist, but he was playing the Bluebird, and Garth Brooks was in the audience that night and needed a song as a single, and he heard that song that night and said, I want to play that song. He went up to him and said, I need that song. And that became one of his biggest songs ever. So I feel like a lot of writers' rounds, if you want to be a writer, it's important to be in a lot of rooms and write with a lot of different people. And then I feel like it's really important to find your grouping of people you really love writing with. But to find a publishing company, I don't know. I don't know if there's any right answer on how to do it. For me, I was playing, the very first publishing deal I ever had was a company called Modern Works Publishing out of Arizona, but they had an office in New York and an office in Nashville. And I was playing a place called, I forget the name of the venue. It was in New York, but I had a woman who was there just walking by and heard me singing. And it was just me on the acoustic guitar. And she came in and said, hey, I don't know your name, but I stopped. I was walking by. I heard you from outside, and I really loved your songs. Do you have a minute to get a beer? I said, yeah, sure. So she's talking to me about music, and she's like, I work for a publishing company called Modern Works Publishing. Her name was Christine Billick. And, her first question to me was, top 5 records if you were on a deserted island, what would they be? And one of them was a one-man band from James Taylor. I was like, it was him and this guy, Larry Goldings. And I said, that was one of the coolest records of all James's greatest songs. It's just him and a piano player. And she goes, well, we represent Larry. I'd love to introduce you to him. I said, sure. This guy's played on Continuum. He plays with James Taylor consistently. He's written for a bunch of pop artists, and he's just an incredible musician. So that's how I met him. And through Christine, I met Matt Odmark on a blind write in Nashville. So that was my introduction. It was kind of just fate that she walked by and I was singing. But I've known other artists, and my next publishing deal, a Prescription, I was playing a writer's round in town. And it was with other writers on that publishing. And their A&R was there, heard me sing, heard my songs, and said, hey, I'd like you to come in and write with some of our writers. So it's kind of like dating for a little bit, where they're like, let's try you out, see if you're any good. And if you're any good, then we'll work on a deal together. And, I wasn't having like 19 publishers knocking my door that time because I was still pretty new to town. And that's how they found me. But I feel like it's a lot of, it's a lot of just being in the right writing rounds and just putting yourself out there.
Okay, so it's doing the writing round.
Yeah.
So
it's doing the writing round
key.
circuit of Nashville.
That's like the open mic for
The open mic for writers.
For writers.
Yeah. You don't have to be the best singer in the world.
Okay.
I've heard incredible songs from singers who aren't great or players who aren't great, but I've gone, man, that's the coolest song. I've never heard that put that way. That could be a great song to sing. One of the questions I get asked by my label all the time is, would you sing a song that you didn't write? And I heard a really great answer to that question from another artist, and they said, well, you've been a writer in town. And the answer is yes. Well, you've always wanted your song cut by somebody who's an artist, right? Yeah, of course. That's the dream. Well, would you be a hypocrite and not sing somebody else's song? if it was a great song. And I went, ooh, damn, you got me.
Uh-huh.
You know? So I think that it's one of those things where, of course, if it's a great song, I'll sing it, if it means a lot. And Cody Johnson's one of those artists to me that's really great at finding songs that he can convey himself that maybe aren't songs that he's written, because a lot of his last record was all outside songs. But he can perform them like they're his, and I think that's the real, if it resonates with you and you can sing it and make people believe it's yours, and then it translates to their life, you've done the thing that every artist wants to do.
Okay, so this is going to sound real petty, but
Not at all.
all right, so many of the songs that you've sung tonight,
Mm-hmm.
you've introduced, when you've been introducing them, you've said, this is a song I wrote with fill in the blank.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
you know, you've written these songs with various people.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is there ever a point when you go like, you know, I've got this idea and I don't want to share it.
Yeah.
I don't want to share it. Because I think it's something's really gonna happen with this song. I think I can
Oh.
deliver it, and I don't want to. I don't want to share the money.
When I was younger,
or the
yes.
fame.
I think the best part about having collaborators is then it's having multiple minds share the same idea. I think the thing for me was I always thought I had to be one of those writers that can only write alone. And I think there's a lot of writers that say, man, I'll only write songs by myself. And I go, man, you are missing out on so much. Only because my thought behind music is I'm not the first person to say what I said in a song like Leave a Little of Your Heart. I'm not the first person to say that thought. I've said it my way,
Yeah.
but I'm also not the last person to feel that. You know, so if I can't articulate that idea just by myself, what better way than to have other people that may be feeling the same thing collaborate on that song? I think when you're looking at it in terms of money,
Okay. Well, forget that part.
well,
So-
there people are shooting themselves in the foot. But if it's a great idea, and you're just like, man, I could write this myself. If you can write it yourself, write it.
Okay,
you know,
but
but-
so in the songs that you've played tonight, where you've said, you know, I wrote this with somebody, are you just essentially sort of nodding to the person who pitched in on
Yeah,
the song?
yeah.
So the central idea, theme, maybe central image was one that you developed, and
Yeah.
then that person who wrote with you jumped in and said, hey, why don't we you think about tweaking this line a little bit?
Well, it's
or
kind of like
think-
Last of the Old Dogs. I don't think that song would have happened had I not seen Andy and Steve that day. And I had not been in conversation with them and said, yeah, she was the last of our old dogs.
Yeah.
And had Steve look at me and go, what did you say? Because I feel like that's half of it. You know, you're in conversation. Sometimes you're getting coffee, you're getting a drink, and somebody will hear you say something that you'll skip over because you're in the middle of a story, and they go, hey, write that down.
Well, in this case, you skipped over it because it was too fresh.
It was too fresh and
the
too
hurt was
painful.
too
But
fresh.
for someone to kind of pull me in that direction and say, hey, I know it's too fresh and it hurts too much, but maybe you should write it today.
Maybe now's when you're going to write it best.
And that's the thing is I feel like if you're not giving credit to those people, you know, one of my biggest pet peeves, I guess, is if I see an artist and they go, I wrote this song. And I go, yeah, you and who else? And if you go on Spotify and there's 9 other writers on that, you know, and they might have been a part of it. They might have had a word or a couple of lines, but that was a collective thought.
Yeah.
And you don't always have to announce everybody that writes a song with
Yeah,
you. You
sure.
could just say it's a song of yours and you put out. But especially in a, you know, in a setting like this where you can talk about the song, I always feel like it's important to talk about the writers
Yeah.
because they're the, you know, they're the unsung heroes, right? You have sometimes I see artists who don't even introduce their band, and that pisses me off. I'm like, they're making you sound great.
Yeah,
I
right.
sound fine. They make me sound really good. You know, but you also got writers who, you might be a great writer, but they made a song that's exceptional with you, and you should always recognize that because it's hard, and everybody hustles at that job, and there's a few times where you hear a great writer or a great song, and you should always recognize everybody that's in that room, even if they said one thing.
Yeah.
That
okay.
room would have been completely different had they not been there.
Yeah.
So that one thing might have changed the course of that song for forever.
Oh, that's nice. So,
Yeah.
so you got a big support group, and it's like you become.
It's like a big
it's
AA
intimate.
meeting of
Yeah, right.
songwriting. Yeah.
Right. It sounds like it. It sounds like it. Okay. Well, good. So talk about the axiom. Don't be afraid to fail. You know, we have. This works for a lot of pursuits.
Okay.
It's like if you want to have success, don't be afraid. What
Yeah.
does fail look like to you in a songwriting session? You know, so
Failures are only lessons, right? They're only lessons that you get.
right?
Failing in a songwriting room.
So yeah, like what's a pitfall maybe of in songwriting rooms where you've seen people come in and you go like, I don't think this person quite gets the idea of this
I have had that happen.
collaboration.
It's very few times where I've been in a room where not everybody's contributing, but there have been a few times where I've been in a room and somebody's just there. They're there because someone told them to show up. They don't talk. They don't speak. Every idea that you have, they're like, I don't like that.
Oh,
And I go, okay, is there something you like better? And they go, I don't know. There's one time in particular, I just remember I looked at and it was an artist or a writer who was in the room, and they just kept telling me, I don't like that. I don't like that. And at one point, I just put my guitar away and I said, hey, unless you're going to tell me something better, don't be here. Not to be rude, but don't be here if you're just going to tell me everything I do sucks. It's just a collaborative effort, and I packed up my guitar and I left.
Because I didn't sound like an AA meeting.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the same thing, right? But that's the thing is I feel like if everybody goes in with an open mind, and sometimes you'll have somebody who has this, I don't know if it's a chip on their shoulder or whatever. And again, this has been very few times in, even the 10 years in Nashville that's ever happened. I mean, maybe twice over hundreds of writing sessions. But, if you're going to come in there and you don't want to be there, then just don't be there. And sometimes you're in a room where everything's just not clicking that day. And it's okay to say, hey, guys, I'm glad we showed up, but maybe we just call it.
Yeah.
Instead of just beating your head on the wall for 4 hours, 5 hours, and coming out with a chorus. It's like, maybe this just wasn't the day. That's okay. Maybe we go get lunch, and if we don't feel it, we just call it. That's okay. I'd rather get past the traffic anyway.
So what are your hours when you work at Prescription Songs?
Usually, like 11 to 3 or 11 to 4, depending, and it could be a later write. Los Angeles was weird. You would say you want to write at 11 o'clock in the morning, and you get a phone call around 8 o'clock in the morning. Say, hey, can we push this back to 1? Sure. You get there, you start driving at 12. Hey, man, how you want to meet me for lunch? Sure. You get there for 2. You'd have lunch, and all of a sudden you start writing. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. You're not done till 10 o'clock at night. I said I could have gotten so much done in my day before we even started this. But that was always LA. There's always a kind of a joke and a stigma about it. But they like doing writes later in the day, and it's all very casual. If you've got to write that day, you better plan to have that whole day mapped out.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be waiting a long time to start a song. Nashville's pretty regimented. It's 11 a.m. You get in. Some people, the owner of my label, Jeremy Stover, an amazing, amazing writer, that guy's there at like 5 in the morning. He's writing 2 songs by the time it's 10 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, he's a machine. But he's had X amount of number 1 songs, and he's just this incredible wealth of knowledge in terms of writing and production. So you look at that kind of work ethic, and if you regiment it that way, you get yourself into this groove of having great writes and things like that. COVID, for me, honestly, and I know this sounds terrible, but I was so productive. I would get up, make coffee. By 11 o'clock in the morning, I'm on Zoom, I'm on my computer, guitar in hand, I'm ready to write a song. I'm in my safe space, I'm in my house, and I've got some of the best songs because I was home and I didn't feel like I had to show off in front of anybody. And I still claim it to this day that was the best way to write a song for me. I'd sit on a computer with someone halfway around the world, but I'm in my house. I'm in my shorts and my Crocs and a T-shirt, writing a song about something that's bothering me, but I'm not having to dress up, going to town, worry about getting lunch, getting coffee, meeting somebody for the first time, shaking their hand and being nervous. They get on the screen. I'm like, how's it going? Good. You're in your house, I'm in mine. We're going to write a song today.
Yeah.
So that became my schedule, and it was incredibly productive. And then, people want to start doing stuff in person again, and I was like, I'd rather just sit on the computer. It's way easier. Maybe I was lazy. I don't know, but I just felt very productive, and I think that the things that maybe in a writing room that I'd be nervous to talk about, when I'm sitting at home and I don't have to show off to anybody, I just wasn't nervous anymore. So I started writing things that were a little more personal than I had written in a long time.
Well, that's kind of cool, but you do miss out on the community that happens in the
Yeah,
workplace,
it's-
right? The stuff around the water cooler.
It's funny.
opportunity
I was
to-
out to breakfast one time, and I saw a writer I'd written probably 5 or 6 songs with for the first time. And this was like 2 or 3 years later. And I said, "Hey, man, good to see you." And he goes, "Man, it's good to see you, but have we met in person before?" And I said, "Actually, no, we haven't, but we've seen each other so much on the computer. We knew each other. You know, the community was still there. It's just about seeing each other, making a plan to hang out." So
Spontaneous conversations,
Yeah.
right? The spur of the moment kind of things
Yeah.
that happen that doesn't happen virtually.
No.
Hey, my guest this evening on Red Barn Radio, our guest is Matt Koziol. He's here with his great band, Austin Webb, Adam DeCipio, and Aaron Lawson. Let's welcome back Matt Koziol to Red Barn Radio.
This is a song called "Work All Day." Wrote this with a buddy named Sam Lee. I had a daydream walking through fields, and all I can think of lately's finding something that's real. Work all day and I pray, and work all day and I pray, and I pray, and work all day, thinking back on a young boy with the world in his hand. Now they cracked and broke like the soul of a man. So work all day and I pray, and work all day and I pray, and I pray, and work all day. There ain't no reason to doubt. Maybe it's time just to turn around and walk away. And I pray and work all day, and I pray and I pray and work all day. I love a woman, my heart and joy. She left this up, but she gave me a sweet baby boy. Yeah. So work all day and I pray, and work all day and I pray, and I pray, and work all day. There ain't no reason to doubt it. Maybe it's time just to turn around and walk away. No easy way to feel right about it, but either way I got a long way to go with the sun on my back and a dollar in my pocket. One of these days I should turn around and walk away. And I pray and work all day, and I pray and I pray and work all day. And I pray and I pray and I work all day. And I pray and I pray and work all day, yeah. And I work all day. Yeah, I work all day. Yeah, I work all day. And I pray and I pray and I work all day. Thank you. That one will make you sweat. You know? This is a song called Slow Burn. I wrote this with a guy named Wes Harley. Wrote this about an ex-girlfriend I had, and that I'm pretty happy isn't around anymore, to be honest with you. Great person, just we were not the right, we were not peanut butter and jelly, man. We were not that thing. So I never got to really be mad about that relationship. And me and Wes wrote this song because we were going through something similar at the same time, and it's called Slow Burn. Sitting at the show front seat, there's a picture there of you next to me. Man, I burned that stuff and I left it in the street, 'cause it's how I used to be. Well, I bought cigarettes 'cause you hated when I smoked. There wasn't nicotine that held me by the throat. Took my first free breath when you drove on down the road. That's how this story goes. We'll roll wildfire, dancing on a live wire, trying to fan the flames instead of getting cold. Spent a long time loving from the wrong side, picking up the pieces you were never meant to hold. Slow burn, letting go. Reasons were excuses that you blame, and the bar was so much better than our bed. I did my time and now I'm on parole. You don't need to know. We'll roll wildfire, dancing on a live wire, trying to fan the flames instead of getting cold. Spent a long time loving from the wrong side, picking up the pieces you were never meant to hold. It's a slow burn, letting go. Dancing on a live wire, trying to fan the flames instead of getting cold. Spent a long time loving from the wrong side, picking up the pieces you never meant to hold. It's a slow burn, letting go. Thank you. I almost fell down on that one. All right. I want to say thanks to these guys again for playing. Man, this is Austin Webb, Aaron Lawson, Adam DeCipio. This is a song also from Wild Horse called Loving You, Loving Me. Speaking of songs that I wrote for other artists, this happened a lot. You'd write for an artist or a group, which in the case was for a group, and they loved it. Everything was great. They left the room. They're like, man, this is awesome. And about like 6 months would go by, I'd be like, whatever happened to that song? And they're like, yeah, we didn't cut it. And eventually I was just like, well, hell, I'll take it. I'll sing it the way I thought I should sing it. So this was one of those. Chasing down a good time, trying to break even, trying to get by. Plans I don't need on, never seem to work out. Find a little freedom, get a little high. Come on. Well, I would turn this train around if loving you was easy. Knowing you would need me in the end. The only thing that's stopping me from rolling on the river, floating like a feather in the wind, he's loving you, loving me again. Last night, baby, I was on a red eye, flying through the dark night, thinking of you again. Maybe one day, I got no doubt, figure our things out, never say goodbye. Well, I would turn this train around if loving you was easy, knowing you would meet me in the end. The only thing that's stopping me from rolling on the river, burning like feather. Loving you, loving me again. Well, I would turn this train around if loving you was easy, knowing you would need me in the end. The only thing that's stopping me from rolling floating like feather in the wind, he's loving you, loving me again. He's loving you, loving me again. He's loving you, loving me again. Yep. Thank you.
Woo! Well, there are many people to thank for our broadcast. First, Matt Koziol, our guest on tonight's program. We want to thank all of you for listening to our webcast, watching us on social media, and those listening to us on our growing network of Red Barn stations and media worldwide. Thanks to WEKU, Red Barn's premier radio partner, Central and Eastern Kentucky's radio news leader. You can listen online at weku.org. Your chance to hear more great live music from Red Barn Radio and WEKU, NPR for Central and Eastern Kentucky. Those of you here in the Central Kentucky area, please be sure to check out Red Barn TV. It's our weekly program of music now on ABC 36 WTVQ. Red Barn Radio comes to you from our home, the Arts Place Performance Hall here in downtown Lexington, Kentucky. Our website has updates and further information on our guests and our program. We are on the web at redbarnradio.com. Now, before we close out tonight, let's bring back Matt and band for one more tune. Everybody good with that? Are you good with that?
That was the best slow clap I ever got.
Are you good with that?
I'm great with it.
All right. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Well, it's good.
Slow clap.
All right. We're
Thank
ready.
you, Red Barn, for having me again.
Good, yeah. Good
Appreciate you guys more than anything. It's a song called Follow Me Home. Showed up on a Friday, you never left my side. Follow me to church on a Sunday. Woman, won't you take your time? Well, it's a hard time telling a pretty woman to go. But when she lays her lips on me, I try to tell her no and no. Will you follow me home? No, that's the reason you're alone. It's about a woman, every curious thing, yeah. But when you look a little closer, you will see she's cold and mean and woman. Will you follow me home? No, that's the reason you're alone. Just like my mama said, better spend some time, yeah, yeah, before you let a stranger in your bed. That's the reason you're around. That's the reason you're around.
Matt Koziol. Well, that's all for our show for this week, folks. You can see and hear Red Barn Radio worldwide as we stream live on the web on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch every Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern in North America. And it is always great to hear from all of you who listen to Red Barn Radio's archive performances on your favorite streaming platforms. Speaking of you listeners, please, before, during, or after you enjoy Red Barn Radio, take just a moment to engage with us a little bit. Thumb up is fine, means something, but your comments, your sharing is what's going to keep us growing and continuing our mission to bring roots music, Southern style, to your neck of the woods and beyond, even long after we turn up our toes. And now we bid you good night, folks. Let's stick together, let's appreciate each other, and let's join up again next week for another great evening of music and conversation on Red Barn Radio. I'm Bradford Becker. See you next time.